Clark, why don't you start us off? Let's take a look at the South region, first round action. What do you see and what do you like?
Well, I tell you, California's been one of my dangerous teams all season long, but they'll have a tough challenge with Hawaii. But I still like Cal to get by that game. And Maryland is a team talented enough to win it all, and that'll be a great matchup if, in fact, it plays out as seeded with California squaring off against Maryland.
All right, meanwhile, the bottom half of the South region now. Take a look at Arizona, Seth.
Well, Arizona's going to be real tough to beat. Again, I was surprised that Vanderbilt got into the field, so I like Wichita State to win that game. That's a really, really tough first-round game for the Wildcats as a 6. And then I go back to the potential of Villanova and Temple playing each other in the second round. Committee members, a couple of them are here. That's cruel and unusual punishment, but there'll be a Philly flavor in that game. I like Villanova to win, and I think Villanova will advance.
All right, let's move on now to the West region, and I'll look at the first 8 teams up there.
I really like what Oregon has become. Tyler Dorsey, the freshman, playing his best basketball of the year in the backcourt. Dylan Brooks in the front court. St. Joe's is a very, very difficult matchup because their big men actually play on the perimeter, and that's exactly how Oregon's big men tend to play. I still like Oregon to advance. Then bottom of the bracket, Duke is a very talented team. They have 2 outstanding scorers, but they struggle rebounding the basketball, and Baylor's a great rebounding team. Then the bottom of the bracket, boy, I like Oklahoma's draw a great deal. Special.
Yeah, I do too. And you look at this 6-11 matchup, I thought Northern Iowa was terrific in winning the Missouri Valley Conference Championship. Wes Washburn, an outstanding point guard who can make plays, and bigs that are mobile for the Panthers that can shoot. This is a dangerous team and a tough matchup for Texas.
Don't understand how A&M's a lower seed than Kentucky. That one doesn't make sense to me.
All right, Seth, first round in the West region. Or rather, I'm sorry, we move on to the East region.
Over in the East region, again, I think it's pretty loaded. That potential second-round game between Indiana and Kentucky. I just think Kentucky's playing really good basketball at the right time, and I think that they're coming in with an underdog sheen to them, if you will. And I think that that 4 seed, by the way, Doug, is reflective of the entire season for Kentucky. Remember, they lost a couple of bad games to Ohio State and the like. They lost at Auburn. That was a bad loss for them, which hurt their seed.
Chuck's right. This is John Calipari's best coaching job he's ever done. He had Marcus Camby and a great team at UMass.
West Virginia is the dangerous team out of this side of the
who comes out of the bottom half of this?
I love West Virginia and what they can do, especially if you get them in that second game and you only have 1 day to prep for that press Virginia. It's awfully tough.
I think the same thing, though, about Xavier. The 1-3-1 zone they play is unique. This is an experienced team. Most of their team back from last year's team that made a run.
And I like the balance of Xavier. This team can do it inside and outside. They've got size, they rebound the ball, and they shoot the 3. Trayvon Blewett, outstanding wingman for them.
All right, Clark, Midwest region here. Who do you like out of this?
Well, I like Michigan. Well, actually, looking at this part of the bracket, I think Virginia's going to be able to advance, although my dark horse there is Iowa State. George Niang. You talked about it, Doug, Monte Morris. Those guys are really seasoned and extremely tough to defend at the offensive end of the floor. I like Iowa State to be a surprise team to come out of this region if Virginia does.
And the bottom half of the Midwest region, as we take one final look at it, looks like this, with Seton Hall sitting there, and so is Utah, and so is Michigan State.
The Zags, I think, will use their experience in the first round. Remember, they had to replace their backcourt, but their front court is back, and though this Seton Hall team has a ton of talent, playing with a ton of momentum, I like Gonzaga to win that game, and then Utah with Jakob Poeltl and the other Coach K. I like Utah to advance and take on Michigan State. And Michigan State, just too tough, one of the great 3-point shooting teams in college basketball in the last 20 years.